When my son-in-law dropped a dirty mop in my hands and called it my new job, I didn't argue. I just smiled. That night, I packed my suitcase and left quietly, knowing Dawn would rewrite every rule in that house. The real reckoning began the next morning. I arrived with a warm pecan pie balanced in my hands, the smell of roasted rosemary and lemon cleaner wrapping around me as I stepped into Avon's perfect little world. Her house gleamed like a magazine cover, everything curated, nothing out of place. 8 of her co-workers were already there, sipping wine and talking about summer trips. I smiled and greeted them the way Southern women do. "How y'all doing? You must be the team Avon's always bragging about." They smiled politely, unsure where to place me. My daughter adjusted her pearl earring and guided me toward the table. "Mom, I set you by the console," she said sweetly. There was no name card waiting for me, just an empty spot near the kitchen where the light was harsh and the air vent hummed. Jericho, my son-in-law, stood at the head of the table, tall, confident, already pouring bourbon for his guests. He didn't pour me any. Avon leaned close to him, whispering something that made him grin. I caught fragments. Mom likes to keep busy. She hates sitting still. Their laughter blended with the clink of crystal and the hum of the dishwasher. I set down my pie on the counter, its brown crust still glossy from the sugar glaze. "Smells homemade," someone said. "Did you pick it up at the store?" Another voice chimed. "Probably from Publix." I smiled without correcting them. If image was currency here, I'd brought cash, just not the kind they valued. Dinner stretched on. They toasted to promotions, bragged about charity galas. I remembered wiring Avon $5,000 years ago so she could start her first business. Not a word of that came up. I sat quietly, watching the way she nodded, her smile perfect but hollow. Then Jericho opened the closet door behind me. The sound of wood hinges startled me. He pulled out a mop, its head gray, strings stiff, handle streaked with grime. He slapped it against the floor with a wet thud. "Since you're here for free, might as well make yourself useful," he joked, laughter flickering around the room like bad light. Avon's smile froze, then reshaped itself into politeness. "Oh, she loves cleaning. Keeps her busy," she added quickly. For a moment, no one moved. One guest murmured, "That's not okay." But her husband squeezed her hand, silencing her. My throat tightened, but I kept my face calm. I met Jericho's eyes, steady and cool. "You're right," I said softly. "I do like a clean floor." I stood, took the mop, and leaned it carefully against the wall. "Now it's waiting for whoever made the mess." The table went silent. I sat back down, my spine straight, my pulse steady. They wanted a scene. I gave them stillness. Avon cleared her throat. "Mom, maybe you'd be more comfortable at the side table, closer to the kitchen." She gestured toward a small table by the pass-through. A guest half rose to offer his seat, but Jericho waved him off. "She's fine," he said. I moved without argument, taking my plate with me. The vent rattled overhead, the laughter resumed, louder now, covering the shame. From my corner, I watched them eat, the way people do when they believe kindness is optional. My pie sat untouched on the counter, label card missing. Someone sliced it anyway, saying, "Not bad for store-bought." I chewed slowly, tasting salt where there shouldn't have been any. My thoughts lined up like soldiers, methodical, silent. I wouldn't fold where they could see me. I'd leave my dignity standing right here at this cheap little side table. I looked around their shining home, the marble countertops I once helped pay for, the chairs I'd chosen from catalogs when Avon first married Jericho. I'd built pieces of this life. Now I was the help. I set down my fork, smoothed my napkin, and breathed through the ache pulsing behind my ribs. "Baby," I said quietly when Avon glanced my way, "keep your floor clean." She blinked, unsure if it was a warning or a blessing. I rose, carried my plate to the sink, rinsed it until it gleamed. The mop leaned in the corner, dripping faintly into its bucket. I set it upright like a flag marking lost ground. The night air outside was cool and smelled faintly of rain. I walked to my car without looking back. Every step felt counted, deliberate. They thought I'd been humbled. What they didn't see was that humiliation has a half-life. It decays into resolve. And before midnight, I planned to clean one last thing in that house, my way out. The night air pressed soft and heavy on my skin as I walked to the car. Each step counted like a metronome, one for pride, one for peace. My mama used to say, "When you're angry, count your steps, not your enemies." I whispered that now, a kind of prayer. The porch light from Avon's house flickered behind me, but I didn't turn back. The car door creaked, the sound small but final. I started the engine and let it hum low, not fast enough to make the tires squeal. No need to wake the neighbors. I texted Avon a single line, "Drive safe, nothing for Jericho." He'd earned silence. Downtown Lafayette was quiet by the time I reached my apartment. The old building smelled like lemon polish and worn books, the kind of scent that hugs you when the world won't. My little lamp clicked on automatically, warm and kind. I kicked off my shoes, placed my purse on the table, and took a slow breath. "Let your blood pressure come down." "Odessa," I said out loud. I filled my pill organizer for the week, brewed a cup of chamomile tea, and checked my folder, the one with receipts, leases, and that safe key tied with red ribbon. I'd built my peace from paper, not people. I whispered to the quiet, "You don't win by shouting in rooms where no one listens." Before I slept, I decided I'd go back at dawn, not to fight, just to leave it clean. When first light brushed the sky, I drove back. The house stood still, blinds drawn, ghosts of laughter gone. I let myself in with my spare key. The air smelled like stale wine and flowers wilting in their vases. I rolled out my own mop bucket from the garage, white, plain, honest. "Keep it neat, wring it tight," I murmured, my hands moving from habit. I mopped every inch of the kitchen, polished the counters, wiped fingerprints from the fridge. The sound of the mop gliding was soft, almost a hymn. I boxed up the pecan pie they'd mocked, labeled it in my handwriting, "From Mom." I left their mop in the center of the floor, dripping gray water like shame. My floor, my last floor, gleamed. That was my goodbye, back home. I packed what mattered, 3 outfits, my Sunday dress, my husband's picture, the folder of proof. I left the rest. "Don't carry more than peace," I told myself, a sticky note on their counter. Lock the back door, no lecture, no guilt. I sealed the spare key in an envelope addressed to myself. Paper trail. "That's how I move now," I whispered to the empty room. "You'll get my silence. That's all you get." By 8, I was at Albertsons. The morning rush was calm, mothers with toddlers, retirees picking ripe peaches. I filled my cart with oatmeal, soup, Epsom salt, bananas, ordinary things for a woman starting over. The cashier, a young girl with box braids, smiled. "Morning, Miss Odessa. You doing okay?" I smiled back. "I'm good, baby. Just taking care of myself." For a few minutes, I felt steady again, almost invisible in the best way. Then a voice sliced through the quiet. "Look at that! Coupon queen on my wife's dime. Jericho." Standing behind me, loud enough for the world. Heads turned, Laughter rippled down the line. The cashier froze. "Sir, that's enough." She tried, but he laughed louder. "Y'all, this lady eats for free and still pinches pennies." I gripped the cart, breathed slow. "Ring it through, please," I told the cashier. He leaned closer. "Guess you'll clip coupons for your grave, too." I turned, met his eyes. "Son, I paid for more than you could lift. Bag the milk and step back." My voice didn't shake. The room went still. The cashier nodded. "Yes, ma'am." A boy by the counter muttered, "That's messed up, man." Jericho's mouth tightened. He left without a word. Outside. The air was crisp. I loaded my groceries slow, tucked the pie box in the front seat. A man nearby said, "Ma'am, you handled that better than I would have." I smiled. "Practice." I texted Nova, my granddaughter, "Eat breakfast." "Love you." Then I pulled out my notebook and wrote, "Albertsons, 8:23 a.m. Jericho Blaine. Store cameras. Records tell truth better than words. Back home." I set the receipt and note in my folder. Soup simmered while I wrote my to-do list. Bank calls, lawyer appointment, password updates, nothing dramatic. Just order. I slipped the paper in the safe, closed it with a click that sounded like strength. I soaked my feet in warm Epsom salt, looked at my husband's photo. "I did fine today," I said softly. "You'd be proud." My phone buzzed. Avon's name. I let it go to voicemail. The safe key in my hand gleamed under the light. "If it ain't on paper," I whispered. It didn't happen. By sundown, I'd open a door that had waited too long, one that would change everything. Sunlight slipped through the blinds, brushing the edge of my kitchen table where yesterday's receipts lay in a neat row. My body felt sore but clear, the kind of ache that comes from peace earned, not lost. I turned on the kettle, swallowed my morning meds with a glass of water, and stretched my arms. Start simple. Finish strong. I told myself, same as every morning since retirement. Oatmeal with banana, 1 spoon of honey. Routine is a kind of armor. I stacked the grocery slips, glanced at Avon's missed voicemail, and decided peace meant not pressing play. Instead, I wrote my plan on an index card. Safe, bank, passwords, folder, adult work. No drama, purse, reading glasses, ribboned key, all ready to go. The safe sat behind my winter coats, metal cool as a river rock. "All right now," I murmured. "Let's see what we kept." My fingers steadied on the dial, counting breaths like I used to teach nervous patients at the hospital. The click came soft but sure, the sound of something remembering me. I laid a towel on the bed, careful as if I were setting a table for guests who wouldn't judge. "If it ain't on paper, it's just a story," I said under my breath. Inside, the light hit the stacks of documents like small truths waiting for air. There they were, the original deed to my house, insurance policies, mortgage records, and the lease I co-signed for Jericho's first business. His signature sat under mine, shaky, smaller. "Couldn't have done it without me," I whispered. In the Avon folder, I found tuition payments, security deposits, and not a single repayment line filled in. My late husband's ring rested in a velvet pouch, dull but loyal. I touched it lightly. "You weren't eating for free." Odessa. I told myself, "You were feeding the whole table." I sorted each document, home, education, insurance, business, slipped them into sleeves, labeled each tab. Order is its own prayer. I scanned every page with my phone, naming the files by date and issuer, not emotion. The clerk at the copy shop downstairs said, "You're organized, ma'am." I smiled. Hard-earned habit. Eyes back home, I printed duplicates, slid them into a new binder. Red for property, blue for education, green for business, yellow for insurance. Yesterday's grocery receipt went in the back pocket. Small proofs belong beside big ones. I moved the ribboned key to a new hiding place. Patterns get you caught. Surprises set you free. Then, the first tremor of the day. My bank login blinked. Incorrect password. I typed it again, slower. Same message. Recovery email, wrong. Someone had changed it. I whispered. Well, look at that. Calm, not fear, just a spark of heat behind my eyes. I tried 2 cards, one worked, one didn't. I reached for my notebook and began writing 9:27 a.m. Attempted login. Failed. 9:30 a.m. Note anomaly. If it isn't written, it disappears. I called the bank from my landline. Speaker on, pen ready. This is Odessa Morrow, I began. The rep asked security questions, and I answered every one from the pages I'd just reviewed. When she said the recovery email had been changed 2 days ago, my stomach tightened. Could you read me the masked address? I asked. It was Avon's pattern, her favorite quote from college. I didn't shout. I just said, freeze that account. Send me a certified letter confirming the change. No text, no emails. Paper only. The next call went to my credit card company. Family dispute over access, I explained. Note it in the file. No new users. The rep said, understood, ma'am. I logged her name, time, and reference number. Old habits from hospital work. Clarity saves lives, or at least money. By afternoon, I sat in a small office at the bank. Binder, open like a map. Please remove all secondary users, I told the manager. She nodded, impressed. You're doing everything right, Ms. Morrow. I smiled. Not my first rodeo. I wrote my new password phrase on a sticky note. Blessed assurance. Easy for me. Impossible for them. She stamped my paperwork. I initialed every page. Back home. I slipped the red tabbed folder into my drawer. The soup pot simmering softly on the stove. I added a page to my binder titled August 22, Account Restoration. I texted Nova, Grandma's handling business, and she sent back a single heart. That was enough. I ignored Avon's voicemail again. Silence is a language too. I sealed an empty envelope and wrote, for the gala, if needed, inside. I placed a note. Noise fades, paper doesn't. My phone lit up with a new message I didn't open. I leaned back, breathing slow. By Friday, I'd send one text that would sting longer than a shout. Evening light slanted across my kitchen, soft and gold. I tidied the counter, stacked the red tab binder square in the center, and stirred the soup on low. Keep it simple, baby. Simple holds, I whispered. My to-do card waited beside the salt shaker. Mail copies, lawyer slot, church pantry drop. Routine kept my pulse steady. Avon's missed call blinked on the phone screen. I let it fade. Peace isn't punishment. It's oxygen. I texted Nova. You free to walk? A red heart popped back almost at once. I slipped the ribboned safe key and a folded page marked home into my purse and locked up behind me. Riverside Park smelled like damp leaves and cottonwood. Nova sat on our old bench, hoodie drawn, 2 travel mugs beside her. Chamomile, she said. You eating right? I smiled. Don't fuss, sugar. I'm fine. The river glowed bronze under the streetlights. We watched egrets glide low across the water, wings white as folded sheets. You don't owe anybody a show, she murmured. And you, I said, don't owe anybody your silence. I handed her an envelope, a tidy list of banking habits, emergency contacts, grown woman business, not drama. She read, nodded once. Her hand found mine. 2 squeezes. The code we've used since she was 10. I'm with you. She slipped a bracelet from her wrist, small wooden beads strung on thread. I made it in art class. For steady hands, she looped it over my fingers. The beads clicked like tiny heartbeats. When folks get loud, she said, count blessings, not beats. The sound of that steadied something deep in me. I passed her the home page, deed date, my signature clear. She didn't gasp or gossip, just looked at me with calm respect. I'm not coming back to fight for a chair, I told her. Nova smiled faintly. Good. Build your own table. Her words felt like Sunday truth. Driving home. The night air was thick with honeysuckle. I rehearsed the sentence I'd send. One line, no venom, all fact. At a red light, I ran through tomorrow's list. Mail the copies, meet Silas, close the loop. Don't swing, I reminded myself. Place the piece. Their street slid past my window. I didn't slow down. Victory never needs headlights. Back inside. I laid the bracelet across my binder, weightless but grounding. I opened my contacts, scrolled to family, and erased every long paragraph I'd drafted in anger. The message came clean. I hope the house feels like home. Nothing more. I attached a photo showing the deed's corner. My name, the date, cropped neat. No caption, no preview. I hit deliver quietly. Then I texted the same thing to myself. Screenshot for the binder. Truth doesn't need applause. I placed the phone face down, stirred the soup once, and let the smell fill the room. Counting beads from 1 to 10, I breathed out every leftover tremor. At 9:14 p.m., my thumb pressed send. The air inside the apartment stilled. Avon's bubble appeared. Mom then disappeared. Jericho's followed. Real funny. I didn't open either. Read receipts off, paper receipts on. I screenshotted both names, both timestamps, filed them in the binder pocket labeled comms. You can't shout down a date stamp, I said softly, turning off the porch light. Silence hummed like a gospel chord. I didn't drive past their house, didn't call a soul. I washed the pot, wiped the counter, aligned the spoon to the stove's edge. Small acts, big piece. My outfit for morning waited on the chair. Gray slacks, flat purse, Silas's card on top. The TV forecast mentioned storms. I clicked it off before they smiled about it. Sliding the bracelet back on, I felt my pulse match its rhythm. The window cracked open let in a night breeze that smelled like beginnings. Morning broke pale and clear. I made oatmeal, checked the mailbox key, expecting certified mail by Friday. 3 unread texts waited. Avon, Jericho, and Eulalie Trent from church. Coffee later? I logged 2 short lines in my binder. Sent 9:14 p.m., no reply required. Move your feet. Odessa, I told myself. Binder under arm. Envelopes ready. The bracelet's wood felt warm against my skin. Solid as purpose. The phone buzzed again, a calendar invite. DeVoe Holiday Planning. Contributors? My name wasn't listed. I smiled without heat, tapped maybe, and snapped a photo of the screen. They'd planned a room without me, so I mailed them the room the deed belonged to. I went to the gala alone. Not to be seen, just to see. My late husband used to say, "You can't correct what you won't look at." I wore a navy sheath, low heels, and hid Nova's wooden bead bracelet under my sleeve like a quiet pulse. In my clutch, one envelope marked property, summary, not to give, just to keep close. Go in kind, come out clear, I told myself in the mirror before leaving. I wouldn't greet Avon or Jericho first. I'd let the room show me what kind of people they'd chosen to become. I took a seat along the wall, near the exit. Eyes clear, heart steady. The ballroom glowed like a rented dream. Frosted garlands, borrowed birch branches, and a donor wall printed on foam board. Their names shimmered in gold, right above people I'd once vouched for. Waiters glided by with crab cakes. I asked only for water with lime. "No, thank you, baby," I told one. Smiling, a woman from the neighborhood stopped. "You look good, Miss Morrow." "I feel steady," I said. Jericho moved like a man auditioning for praise, shaking hands like it paid a wage. Avon handled photos, her smile sharp enough to slice glass. They didn't notice me. I noticed everything, especially the AV table, the laptop, and the spare thumb drive beside it. Old habits don't retire. Jericho took the mic first. "We built this from scratch," he said, puffing up like a parade balloon. The lie landed soft but stuck. Avon followed with, "Family isn't blood, it's who shows up." She gestured toward a row of ring lights and grinning sponsors. "Folks who pay for the stage rarely need to say they built it." I thought. Applause rolled like a wave that refused to end. I pressed my hand flat over my clutch to keep it still. Breathe in 4. Hold 4, out 6. I knew this rhythm better than most hymns. Then came the slideshow. Childhood snapshots, their first cramped apartment, ribbon cuttings. The years I paid for flashed by, but only pieces of me remained. A shoulder here, a hand cropped there. My face erased like it never existed. Under a photo of the house I bought for Avon read, "Our first home, hard work pays off." I didn't flinch, just let the betrayal cool to stone. A donor montage rolled next. "We had angels," Jericho said, voice dripping sweet. My name was gone. A woman near me whispered, "Wasn't Ms. Morrow part of that?" "Hush." Another said. I took a small card from my clutch, wrote, 12/8, cropped slideshow. Caption, miscredit. Paper keeps what pride shouldn't. I didn't confront anyone. I smoothed my dress, sipped my water, and thought, let the floor be theirs. The facts are mine. Avon's eyes skimmed the crowd, landing on everyone but me. She'd learned my strength and weaponized it. Jericho soaked in applause, collar damp, grin fixed. A volunteer handed me a pledge card. I wrote no, thank you, and slid it back. Before leaving, I snapped a picture of the donor wall's timestamp. Doors open easier when hands are busy clapping. In the car, I logged it all. Times, captions, details. If it ain't written, it didn't happen, I said. If it's written wrong, fix it with better ink. I texted myself the photo and filed it in my digital binder. Pulse check. Steady. No need to call Nova. The truth could cool overnight. Saturday morning, I carried 2 casseroles to St. Martin's Pantry Drive. "Morning, brother," I said to the usher. The air smelled of coffee and wax. I sat near the back. Eulalie Trent turned halfway, caught my eye, then turned back fast. The choir hummed a mercy hymn. My hands stayed folded tight. After service, whispers floated like smoke. "Heard about the gala. Slides were something." "She wasn't on the donor list?" one voice said. "Maybe she never gave like folks said." I stirred sugar into my coffee. Slow. Eulalie approached, sweet as syrup. "You're still helping out at home, right?" I smiled. "Home takes care of itself." A deacon interrupted loudly. "Miss Morrow's casserole's always a blessing." Cover noise for cruelty. I placed the pans on the table, removed the foil. Work speaks louder than mouths. "You need help to your car, ma'am?" a teenager asked. "I'm good, baby. Keep your hands for hard things." Before leaving, I pinned a flyer to the church corkboard. Holiday legal aid clinic, plain print, clean times. Then I signed my name under pantry volunteer, Decca 15. Quiet visibility. Not vengeance. Noise fades, I whispered. Paper doesn't. Outside, sunlight hit honest. I texted Silas Marin, ready to synchronize watches. His reply came, a check mark in time. In my car, I slid a new envelope into my clutch. Receipts. Showtime. My reflection met me in the rearview mirror. Older, yes. Erased, never. They cropped a face, I told the glass, but I kept the deed. The next room I'd walk into would clap for the truth, whether it wanted to or not. I arrived 10 minutes early. The bracelet Nova gave me hid under my sleeve. The binder tucked inside a plain canvas tote. The ballroom looked smaller now. Same rented decor, same gold lettering. I checked in with the floor manager. She confirmed an open acknowledgement segment near the end. Perfect, I said, voice calm. I didn't come to speak long, just clear. Place the piece, not the punch, I reminded myself. My index card held numbers, dates, accounts, totals. I stood close to the AV table, not the podium. The screen was the real microphone tonight. I texted Silas one word, green. Then I breathed in 4s. No rehearsed speeches, only order. Jericho grinned his way through donors like a man selling sunshine. Avon posed for photos, face flawless under filters. The donor wall glowed again, updated for matching gifts. I photographed its timestamp. A volunteer whispered, "We'll start acknowledgments after the raffle." I nodded. "Thank you, ma'am." I scanned exits, lighting angles, crowd rhythm. 2 neighbors noticed me. One waved, the other looked away fast. Fear loves company. I rolled my shoulders loose. Power sits better in a relaxed body. When the MC invited brief thanks, the room hesitated. I stepped forward, tote in hand. I didn't touch the podium. "May I use the side screen?" I asked the AV tech. He shrugged. "Sure, ma'am." I smiled. Working people respect directness. I handed over a thumb drive labeled Acknowledgement Receipts, PDF. "It'll take a minute." Turning to the crowd, I said evenly, "Good evening. My name's Odessa Morrow. I just came to thank the ones who kept this roof standing." The projector flickered to life. Plain white title slide, date printed small at the bottom corner. First image, a cashier's check. Memo line read down payment, home on Bayou Oaks. My signature, dated clear. Second slide, mortgage statement. My name circled red. Third, refinance notice with my credit score. Fourth, 3 years of property tax receipts. I said, "Hard numbers don't have feelings." Silence thickened. "That from Scratch story?" I added softly. Scratch had my routing number. Next slides rolled. Commercial lease for Jericho's first store. Guarantee line signed O. Morrow. Then an email from the landlord. Approved upon Miss. Morrow's guarantee. Supplier invoice paid from my card. Month before his grand opening. Finally. A text on screen. "Couldn't have done it without you. Ma?" Dated 2018. I said, "Gratitude should age well. It soured here." A fork clinked to the floor somewhere. No one laughed. Then came Avon's turn. College tuition ledger, bursar stamp, apartment deposit, and rent receipts. "I didn't do these for applause," I told them. "I did them so a young woman could stand on both feet." My tone stayed level. Repayments to date, none. The words hung steady as stained glass. Jericho rushed forward. "This isn't the time," he barked. I stepped back just enough to let him own the light. "Y'all know Mom's always keeping receipts." Nervous chuckles scattered. I looked to the AV tech. "Last slide, please." Final image, verification, and custody. "A stage is a fine place for facts," I said. His grin faltered. The audience leaned in. Silas rose from the side aisle. Dark suit, folder in hand. He spoke like a clock ticking. I've reviewed originals, copies verified, chain of custody intact. He listed parcel numbers, lenders, filing codes. Any online alterations attempted without owner consent are under active case review. Murmurs rippled through the tables. There's a lawful process for everything. He finished. It's already begun. He handed a paper to the MC, who took it like it might burn. I stepped back to center. "Thank you," I said simply, "for letting truth borrow your lights." I unplugged my drive, slipped it into the tote, and nodded to the AV tech. "Good job tonight," a volunteer whispered. "God bless you." I smiled. He did. He gave me pens. I walked out slow, unhurried. No applause followed. Didn't need it. In the hallway, a woman touched my arm. "My mama kept receipts too," she whispered. I nodded once. Smart woman. Outside, the air was cold, honest. I breathed until my chest stopped trembling. I texted Nova a photo of the sky. Done. She sent back a star emoji. I filed the drive away. The bracelet clicked once when I turned my key. My phone buzzed, a bank alert. Unauthorized attempt blocked. Another ping. The community thread lighting up. Why'd the slideshow change? I smiled into the night. My quiet was already louder than their applause. Sunday morning arrived quiet. No alarm, no rush. The beads on my bracelet were warm against my wrist. We move on paper today. I told the room. My phone lit with 3 messages. The bank alert confirming another blocked attempt. The neighborhood thread still buzzing, and Nova's text. "Proud of you, Grandma." I smiled, whispered, "Don't chase noise, file it." I brewed light coffee, stirred oatmeal, took my blood pressure like clockwork. Realism keeps a woman like me believable to herself. I opened the binder. Red tab marked follow-up. Today wasn't about talking. It was about watching consequences bloom. The first seed had already sprouted. The bank email came through. Security hold remains. Online profile change denied 712 email. I jotted down the rep's name and case number, then added one more note. Owner present. Keep mail statements. Another ping followed, one of the gala donors. They're running a matching gift campaign again. Her message read, "But folks are asking questions." I typed back, "Encourage receipts for everything." No gossip, no bragging, just process. I forwarded Silas the alert with the subject line, "Good morning. Paper wins again." He replied, "Discovery requests ready if needed." I felt the corner of my mouth rise. By noon, I was at the cafe near the courthouse. 2 donors sat a table away, talking just loud enough. "Cute slideshow, but numbers matter," one said. The other nodded, stirring her latte like it had secrets. I ordered tea. No milk, no sugar. Adults don't audition for respect. A woman I knew from the charity board came over. "Miss Morrow, we saw your slides." I answered. "You saw dates." Her lips tightened. "My pledge is on hold until they clarify credit." I nodded once. "Ask for documentation. It keeps everyone honest." When she left, I flipped the receipt over and wrote, "Ripple began where it should, at the checkbook." By late afternoon, Avon called. I let it ring twice, then answered softly, "Morning, baby." Her voice shook, trying for firm. "You embarrassed us." I said, "I use dates." She shifted tone. "We can fix this privately. Give you proper acknowledgement." I replied, "Credit belongs where it happened." Silence stretched. I added gently, "Don't borrow shame that isn't yours. Return the part that is." She didn't respond. I could hear her breathing, torn between pride and apology. "I'll call later," she whispered. "All right," I said. "Be safe." When the line went dead, I logged the call. Time. Summary. No emotion. My pulse stayed level with the beads. That night, Jericho posted his porch video. Ring light. Sad piano. Soft voice. "We honor all who helped build this dream," he said. No names, no dates. He blamed volunteer miscommunication and smiled like forgiveness was his to offer. Avon stood beside him, hands folded, face pale, comments rolled fast, half praise, half challenge. "Show the receipts." "Whose name was missing again?" I whispered. "When folks won't name it, they still own it." I screenshotted every frame. Time-stamped, saved, spin 1217. By Monday morning, the fire had spread. Someone reposted my down payment check under his video captioned, "Tech error." Right? The thread exploded. Another commenter tagged the hotel AV tech, who confirmed. "Files swapped on site," Jericho typed back. Context. But context doesn't cure a lie. Avon messaged me directly. "Please help us explain." I typed, "Name the deed, name the years," then set my phone face down beside the soup pot. "No tutoring mid-exam," I said aloud. I logged. Public non-apology collapsed. Witness verified. At church that afternoon, the pastor found me folding bulletin inserts. "You all right, Ms. Morrow?" "I'm steady," I said. He offered mediation. "Not yet," I replied. "Let truth breathe first." I dropped 3 casserole vouchers for the pantry, told him, "Pray for clarity, not comfort. Comfort makes people lie cute." He chuckled, uneasy. I smiled back. Mercy can sound sharp when it's honest. Tuesday morning found me in Silas's office. We reviewed the binder, property tabs, email threads, witness statements, all color-coded. "What's the cleanest path?" I asked. "Notice to vacate," he said. 30 days. Civil. Not loud. He drafted it while I initialed each page. Process server. Scheduled for dusk. "Kindness is the tone, law is the tool," I murmured. At sunset, the server walked the path to their porch. The camera blinked red. Jericho opened the door, chin high. "Evening, sir." "You've been served," the man said simply, leaving the envelope marked "Notice to vacate." Avon texted almost instantly. "Mom, please." I replied. "Use the 30 days wisely. Mercy is clear deadlines." By nightfall, neighborhood threads buzzed. "Why eviction if it's their house?" someone asked. Another posted parcel data. Owner, Odessa Morrow. Donors paused pledges. The hotel AV added, "Playback logs verified." Jericho tried humor again. No one laughed. "When math talks," I said quietly, "feelings wait their turn." That night, I watered my spider plant, folded the laundry, and ignored analytics. Nova called. We laughed about her finals. Peace makes a better bedtime than revenge. Before turning in, I wrote one line. No gloating recorded. My favorite prayer followed. "Lord, keep my hands from petty and my feet from hurry." My phone buzzed near midnight. Voicemail from Avon, her voice small. "I don't know how to fix this." I didn't play it again. Some truths don't need echo. Then an email from Silas. "Meeting with mediator confirmed, if you wish." I marked it maybe. Setting the bracelet atop the binder, I whispered, "The clock's running." By sunrise, the house would decide whether it was a home or a stage. Morning light crept through the blinds, sharp and cold. I woke before the clock, bracelet warm against my wrist. Paper at 10, keys by dusk. I whispered. The red tab binder waited open on the table. Notice dates, delivery proof, call logs, everything lined up like soldiers ready for roll call. I packed a flat tote, certified deed copies, mortgage summary, lease guarantees, a printed slide from the gala, and Silas's affidavit. No speeches, just sentences. I told my reflection. I texted Silas. On my way, he replied, room 312, coffee's black. My kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner. Order makes courage louder. The mediation room was neutral beige, cool enough to keep tempers civilized. Silas and I sat opposite Avon and Jericho. The mediator adjusted his glasses. Soft voice rehearsed for storms. We're here for resolution, I said. This is about property, credit, and access, nothing else. Jericho tried smiling. We can talk like family. Family talks before filing, I answered. Avon avoided my eyes, clutching her notepad like a shield. I slid our agenda across the table. Vacate by tomorrow. Correction letter sent and posted for 72 hours. Credentials returned, payment plan, and mutual silence about motives. I looked at the mediator. My voice isn't in dispute. My signature is... The man nodded. Jericho's grin cracked. Jericho pulled a folder from his briefcase. This proves she gifted the house, he said. The document looked new, edges crisp, ink still glossy. Dated last week, I noted. I opened my binder and set down the notarized letter from years ago. Same notary, same seal. But the text read tuition support and rental security. Silas spoke evenly. Sequential log confirms authenticity. The other document doesn't appear in the register. The mediator read both, raised an eyebrow, and said, "We'll proceed with the verified copy." I looked straight at Jericho. Cute doesn't hold up in the rain. He looked away first. Avon's pen shook. Silas laid out the correction letter, 1 page, neat margins, listing every contribution, every date. At the bottom, acknowledgement of my sole ownership. I told them it must be sent to donors, posted in the foyer, printed for public view a week, bank passwords to revert under affidavit, payments to start monthly, interest-free if punctual. You don't owe me feelings, I said. You owe me accuracy. They signed. Avon's eyes brimmed. Jericho pressed too hard, leaving grooves. I initialed lightly, steady as prayer. At 4:45 that afternoon, Silas, the process server, and a locksmith met me at Bayou Oaks. Dusk softened the paint I once paid for. The porch camera blinked red as the envelope changed hands. Avon held out the keys without speaking. Jericho muttered, "Family business," I answered. "Family is behavior." The locksmith turned the cylinder. New sound. Same door. I walked through each room, filming the stillness. In the corner closet, the old gray mop waited. I carried it to the porch rail and set it down. Mercy doesn't always smile. On the foyer table, I placed the printed correction letter and a church bulletin. Noise fades, I whispered. Paper doesn't. The next morning, I stood at the county clerk's counter. One signature transferred the title into the Linnell House Trust. Trustee, Odessa Morrow. Beneficiary use, transitional housing. Make 2 certified copies, I said. Paper needs cousins. By noon, I was at St. Martin's with Silas and Nova. The pastor waited with 2 women holding donated suitcases. I handed over 3 new keys and a brand new mop. For first apartments only, I said. Laughter filled the room, light, real, earned. That evening, Avon called. "Mama," she whispered. "Is there any way back?" I answered softly. "There's always a way forward. It starts with truth when no one's watching." I invited her to volunteer once a month. No cameras, just hands. "You don't owe me love today," I said. "You owe yourself better habits." She cried. I let silence hold her. Some lessons don't need words. At dusk, I returned to the house. The foyer smelled like cinnamon tea and new paint. A donor dropped off bedding and left a note on the table. Dates, captions. I smiled, locked up. and slipped my trustee card into the drawer. The beads on my bracelet clicked softly. I taped one last message inside the pantry cupboard. If you're reading this, you made it to a better room. My phone buzzed. A new email. Transparency policy draft. Would you review? I smiled. Some doors opened because you turned the right keys. Next time, I'd teach a room how to read a deed before it learned to buy a chandelier. A soft knock echoed through the empty hallway before dawn. I froze mid-sip, the mug trembling just once. Outside. A silhouette waited, familiar, hesitant, holding an envelope that bore my name in my own handwriting. The bracelet on my wrist warmed again. Was this my past returning? Or the next chapter I'd already written?